Cleveland Indians.
Welcome, everyone, to the January 24th, 2019 Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I'm your host, publisher, and sports editor of the Lake County Sentinel, Tim Shirer. We had a couple days off, and now we're back at it. Excuse me. Whoa. A lot of things have happened since we were away. We're going to start off first with the schedule for Cleveland sports teams, and then we're going to talk about Baseball Hall of Fame, who got elected, and who didn't get elected, and how ridiculous it is that certain people didn't get elected and that certain people got the percentages of votes that they got. And then we'll move to news and politics after that. But starting tonight, we're going to start with the Cavs, who, as we all know, they've been having problems. They're having one of their worst seasons ever. We pretty much expected this when LeBron left, that they would struggle this year and there would be problems. They would lose. I mean, you got to rebuild in the NBA. You got to be bad before you can be good. And that's exactly what's happening. And I don't think anybody is surprised at this. If you are, I don't know where you've been living, like under what rock, because it's, this is just how the NBA works. When you lose a superstar and you have to rebuild, then it's painful. And the Cavaliers are in the middle of rebuilding. And so, I think that they're about where people expected. Is it hard to watch at times? Yeah, it's hard to watch at times. But let's face it, Cleveland sports fans. I feel like this year for the Cavs is a little easier than 1-15 or 0-16. Okay, but we know how Cleveland works, and those were acceptable. 9-40 is not, because they don't wear brown and orange. So therefore, when another team in Cleveland rebuilds and actually has a plan, unlike the Browns, they did not have a plan for those 2 years. But the Cavs seem to have a plan, and they're following it, and it takes a little while to rebuild in the NBA. This isn't just a 5-minute thing. You can't lose a guy like LeBron James and all of a sudden you're good. This is going to take 3 years. The Cavs might not make the playoffs for the next 3 years, okay? They may come close, or the East is bad, so there's a possibility that they may make it. They could make it next year, but it would almost hurt them if they made it. I would almost rather them not make it for the next 3 years and get lottery picks and then be good. So that's where they are. They play tomorrow night at the Q against the Miami Heat. Miami's fighting for that 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. Dwayne Wade will be making his first appearance, I believe, back at the Q since the Cavs traded him last year. He was here for half a season. Wasn't really that successful. I don't think there was really a spot for him on that team. So he got traded back to Miami. And he says this is his final year in the NBA. So it's kind of a farewell tour for one of the great ones, Dwayne Wade. Let's move on to the Monsters. They play tonight at the Q. They're starting right now. They're playing the Chicago Wolves. The Monsters have been in a slump. Hopefully they'll get back on track. They actually did win their last game, though. So let's hope that they can continue on a good path tonight and hopefully beat the Chicago Wolves. Currently, the Monsters are in the Northern Division in the American League. They are in 5th place. They have 45 points. The Chicago Wolves are in the Central Division, so they're not in the same division, but they have 51 points. The Monsters have made it tough on themselves, going through that rough stretch like they did. You know, they're 4-5-0-1 in their last 10 games. That's not going to cut it. You're not going to make the playoffs, especially when the teams ahead of you are 6-3-0, 7-2-1-0. Well, Syracuse was in a little bit of a slump. They're 4-5-0-1, and then Toronto was 7-2-0-1. So Toronto and Utica was in last place when a couple weeks ago when the Monsters faced them, and now they're in second place. They're 3 points out of first. And where are the Monsters? 5 points behind Utica. So the Monsters better get it going soon, or they aren't going to make the playoffs. And their fan base will not be happy if they don't make the playoffs. They have a very loyal fan base who expects to win. You know, they won the Calder Cup a couple years ago, so that fan base expects to win. So the Monsters, hopefully, they'll get back on track now. Playing Chicago tonight at the Q. And then we got the Menor Icebreakers. They'll be in action tomorrow night in Carolina. And then they play Saturday again in Carolina. They play tomorrow night at 7:35. They play at 6:05 on Saturday in Carolina. And then they come home Sunday to play at 4 o'clock at the Menor Civic Center. And that will be, I believe, a 4 o'clock start. It's going to be cold. So if you're going to go to the game and cheer on the Icebreakers, dress warm. So that's pretty much the update for the teams and the schedules. Remember the Lake County Captains Hot Stove Dinner is coming up. It's all sold out. If you have a ticket, that's awesome. It's going to be from 6 to 9 at the Holiday Inn in Menor in the Lakeshore Ballroom. Like I said, from 6 to 9. It is completely sold out. I talked to Media Relations Directors, Senior Director of Corporate Sales and Media Relations, Craig Dees, yesterday. Had a nice conversation with Craig. He's back with the Captains now, and that's a really good thing. But so the Hot Stove Dinner is on February 5th. The featured guest is going to be Omar Vizquel, and we're going to talk about Omar here in a minute. But he'll be in the Captain's Hot Stove Dinner on February 5th. That's a great event. I've been to it 15 of the 16 years. I do not believe I will be getting there this year. I did not go last year, but it is a great event. If you don't have a ticket, maybe you can get a ticket from somebody else. It's a really good event, and I think you'll enjoy it. And Omar Vizquel, that's a great guest. One of the great Indians of all time. So let's move on here. Speaking of Omar Vizquel got 40% of the Hall of Fame vote. You need 75 to get in. He went up 5% from last year. All right. But the steroid users, Clemens, Bonds, those guys, they got a higher percentage of the vote than Omar Vizquel, who followed the rules his entire career. Nothing with steroids with Omar Vizquel. Yet he doesn't get the same percentage of votes as guys who are known cheaters. What does that say about the baseball writers? What it says to me is the baseball writers don't know what the hell they're doing. All right? They don't know what the hell they're doing. These baseball writers are so wrong when it comes to Hall of Fame voting. It makes me sick. All right? If you look up the statistics of all, and you look up the statistics of Derek Jeter, who will get in first ballot next year. Of course he will, because he's a Yankee. And he's so overrated. He is so overrated, Omar Vizquel. Was he a better offensive player than Vizquel? Yes, he was. I'll give him that. But he was nowhere near the defensive player that Omar Vizquel was. Not even close. And let me tell you this. If you're gonna say, oh well, okay, well, defense doesn't matter. Well, yeah, it matters. Obviously it matters, right? Because Ozzie Smith's in the Hall of Fame. And let me tell you this. Then Ozzie Smith. And then if you go even farther and you look at the offensive numbers, Omar Vizquel was so much better than Ozzie Smith. So much better. So I don't know how people, why are they not, why won't they put him in? It doesn't make sense to me. I love the people that want to penalize for longevity. Oh, the guy was good and could play into his 40s, so you're going to penalize him for that? Oh, because he piled statistics up? Are you kidding me? Okay, Vizquel played until he was 45. Ozzie Smith played until he was 41. All right? And those last few years, Ozzie Smith played 98, 40, and 82 games. All right? I mean, Vizquel, in his last years, let's go from 39. Let's go from age 39 with Vizquel. From age 39 with Vizquel, he played 153, 145, 92, 60, 108, 58, and then 60. So, yeah, he didn't play as many the last couple years, but crap, he played 145 games at 41. He won a gold glove at 39. 2 gold gloves. After he left the Indians, he won 2 gold gloves. Come on. The reason Ozzie Smith won so many gold gloves is there weren't any other good shortstops then. But if we want to go solely by numbers, and we're going to look at numbers, and we want to go by fielding percentage and things like that, let's look at fielding percentage for these two guys, okay? Ozzie Smith's fielding percentage was .978. All right? .978. Omar Vizquel's fielding percentage, .985. All right? .985. So it was higher. Right there. He's better than Ozzie Smith. He should be in the Hall of Fame right now, today. But he's not. And Derek Jeter, I don't even want to hear about Derek Jeter. Okay? I don't even want to hear about him. I mean, if he didn't play for New York, I don't even think he would be a candidate. I'm serious. I don't even think he would be a legitimate Hall of Fame candidate if he had not played for New York. Let's look at Derek Jeter's fielding percentage, which it might be because of the New York scorekeeper. .976. There, Vizquel was better than him, too. All right? But we're not going to put Vizquel in. We're going to have Ozzie Smith in, and we're going to have Derek Jeter in. All right? That's ridiculous. When we come back, we're going to move to politics, and we're going to talk about some of the events that went on in the last week. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Second half of the Lake County Sentinel Podcast. If you want to get a hold of us on Twitter, you can do that at LCSentinel.com or Sports Sentinel, or you can find us on Facebook. Just put in Lake County Sentinel, or you can go to our website, www.lakecountysentinel.com. That's www.lakecountysentinel.com. We're back, and we're going to talk about a few things here. We've been off the air since Monday was our last broadcast. Some things have happened. Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former attorney, had said that he wasn't going to testify in front of Congress. He was going to delay it due to the threats from Trump and Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani. Well, it seems as though the people in charge in Congress said, oh no, not so fast. Yes, you're going to testify. We're going to subpoena you and you're going to testify. But now it looks like the testimony will probably be in private. But I'm sure that things will be released eventually and we'll find out what he testified about. But, Trump and Giuliani, they just don't want him to testify. Because the thing is, they know, okay, Michael Cohen has lied in the past, but Michael Cohen lied because Donald Trump told him to lie. And told him to lie a lot. So that's why they don't want him to testify. And I think that if he testifies, they're worried what he might say. They're worried that he's going to say some things that make Trump look even worse, or that might make Trump be brought up on charges of, obstruction of justice or perjury. Any number of things. And that's what they're worried about. And that's why they don't want him to testify. And that's why they continue to say things about, Michael Cohen, what a liar he is. Don't trust anything Michael Cohen says. Well, you know what? We don't trust anything you say. So who are we going to believe? Which liar are we going to believe at this point? So it'll be interesting to see what Michael Cohen has to say when he testifies in front of Congress. And I don't know if that's going to be February 8th like it was supposed to be. But I know they subpoenaed him today. And he's going to testify. So also, after Trump claimed yesterday that he was going to make the State of the Union address, today he says that, late last night actually, he tweeted that they were going to cancel the State of the Union address. The guy thinks he can do whatever he wants. His followers think that he can do whatever he wants. But there is a Constitution that has to be followed. They claim to care about the Constitution, but they only seem to care about the Constitution when it helps them. Okay? So at this point, he couldn't do it. He could not go on the floor of the House and give his State of the Union address because you can only do that if you were invited by the Speaker of the House. Nancy Pelosi was not going to invite him. So he had no choice but to delay the State of the Union address. Yeah, so it'll be interesting if they can ever get this government shutdown worked out, which I think they will. I feel like, remember I said this today, I feel like it will be done by the end of the month. 7 days from now, I feel like by February 1st, there's going to be a deal reached and the government will reopen because it's gone on far too long. And even though Trump says he'll own it, well, he said he would own it, then he blamed the Democrats. It doesn't look good for either side right now. I'm just being honest. Is this more Trump's fault than the Democrats? Yes, it is. Is Fox News trying to spin it that it's the Democrats' fault? Of course they are. That's what their base wants to hear. The supposed fake left-wing media, which is not left-wing media, is telling the truth. Hey, he said it at that meeting that day. He would gladly close the government down and take the blame for it. He said it. Well, he can't just change his story. Okay, he can't just change his story. The only people who are going to believe that are his hardcore base. And guess what? Guess what, Trump? Your hardcore base that you have left isn't enough to win you a Senate election, let alone the presidential election. So he better realize that most people are disgusted by this shutdown. Yeah, there are a lot of people that are blaming the Democrats. Well, yeah, they are. But I feel like more of those independent voters are going to look at him and say, this guy is crazy, and you just can't deal with him. Pelosi's hard line, man. I don't think that Trump expected that Nancy Pelosi would be as hard line as she is. She is not going to give in to Donald Trump. She is going to do what's right for the country. She's not going to give him the money for that wall that we don't need. We don't need the wall. More technology, more agents on the border is what we need. You build the wall, all they're going to do is build tunnels underneath. That's all they're going to do. So what are you really doing? You're spending money on something that's not even going to help. Technology and more border agents is what's needed. Okay? That's what's needed. So, there's that, and now a new book came out today and said that Kellyanne Conway, an ex-Trump staffer, wrote a book, and it came out this week, and it said that Kellyanne Conway is the leaker in the White House. She's the one leaking all the information. This is the woman who stood in the White House and said leakers should be prosecuted. And she's the leaker. It's not surprising because I'm sure she played both sides of the street before. That's the only way you get as far as she's gotten. Okay? But it'll be interesting to know, did Trump know this? If Trump didn't know this, how's he going to react? This is the woman who helped him get elected president. He's going to fire her? I doubt it. She's like one of the only staffers left standing from the original White House. If your name isn't Trump or Kushner, she's about the only one left. So it's pretty kind of interesting that Kellyanne Bowling Green Massacre Conway is the leaker. And the horrible leaker that the Trump people have complained about for months, years, since he became president, they've complained. Yet, it turns out that it's his campaign manager who's the leaker. How about that? His campaign manager is the leaker. That's crazy. So I don't know, what if it's all true. But if it's true, I think it's kind of ironic that it's Kellyanne Conway, who has often complained about leakers. But that's the Trump White House, being hypocrites and saying things that aren't true and then finding out that it's the exact opposite of what they were saying. They did the exact opposite of what they were saying publicly, doing the exact opposite of what they hold other people accountable for. I guess it fits right in. The fact that Kellyanne Conway is the leaker fits right in with what the Trump White House is. Fake and not truthful. So, I mean, how much confidence have you had that the truth was going to ever come out of the mouth of Kellyanne Conway anyway? All right? Not much. Not much. So, I mean, she could be leaking stuff, false stuff, just to make the media look bad, which I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. Because that's their goal, make the media look bad. Don't really do anything or really have any real policies, but just kind of get through it. That's what they do. They kind of get through it. And the policies they do have, of course, are hateful and not really what the majority of the American public wants. Because let's not forget, through all of this, Trump did not get the majority of the votes. He got 3 million less votes than Hillary Clinton. And the majority of the United States never supported Donald Trump. Never. Not before the election, not on election day, and not after. He has never had the majority of the confidence of the American people. Never. Not one day. Not 1 minute. So when they say that, it's ridiculous. All right? It's ridiculous. But let's move on to our stock market update. We have not given a stock market update since last Friday. The market closed today at 24,553.24. It was down 22.38. Since Donald Trump took office, the market has gone up 4,641.24 points for an 18% gain. 18% gain. In the same amount of time during President Obama's time in office, at this point, the Dow had gained 3,980.52 points. You say that's less by 761. Yes, it is. But the percentage is higher. Remember, the market was lower then. The percentage is higher. The market went up 33% at this point of Obama's presidency. That's a 15% higher gain than Donald Trump. 15%. So when you go by percentages, definitely Obama has been a better president. And when we just go by strict numbers, I would venture to say by the end of the month, middle of next month, Obama is back ahead of Trump in the numbers. Just pure numbers. And then percentages will even be higher. Because I see a down period coming. Because I just think things are very tedious with the economy. We're going to find out. Jobs report will be out in about 10 days. That's going to tell a lot. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Until then, I'm Tim Shirer. Talk to you later. Have a good night.